Hey there, I'm Katrina Stewartson, and before we start, remember to subscribe. Just click the button below that says subscribe, and then you'll be able to get all the latest updates that I do on my YouTube channel about Maine Coons. So, as I said, I'm Katrina, and I run the blog website maincoonscentral.com. I absolutely love this breed of cat. I'm like super excited to talk about it. It's literally, I'm obsessed with them. They're magnificent, they're loving, their personality is so fun, so playful, and I'm so desperate to convince you that they are the best cat breed to buy for your family. I mean, if you've ever wondered, are Maine Coons great pets for the family? Well, I hope I can just convince you now that they just are. Maine Coons, let's start with the basic. Maine Coons are super laid back. They're not like other cats. They're not gonna like scratch out at your child. They're not really into like getting aggressive or anything like that, unless like you're being super aggressive to them. It's just not their style. They love and adore human contact. They actually want to spend as much time as they can around us humans as they can. They're literally, imagine a dog. It's like having a dog. I have never experienced it before. And to be honest, I would never buy another breed of cat again after my experience with our cat, Pippin. So what is the Maine Coon and where do they come from? So they are the state cat of Maine in the United States, and they literally are one of the biggest domestic cats that you can get, apart from like the Norwegian forest cat, which is also about the same sort of size. They have their origins obviously in the United States, and they didn't come to Britain until I think it was about the mid-1980s. 1984, I believe, is when they first came across. Originally, that was because the American breeders actually didn't trust us British. They thought that our legislation for animals wasn't so good, and so they didn't want their prized possessions of their kittens coming in and being just locked away for a certain amount of quarantine time. It wasn't their thing, so it took them quite a while to accept that the Maine Coons could come to Britain. But obviously now they are like one of the most popular cat breeds to get, particularly in the United States actually. I think they're ranked like number 3 out of all cats, which is really quite impressive. They're quite a desirable cat. And if you've not owned one before, do it. Best thing you can ever get. Yeah, they are really, really expensive, but what you get back is so much more than just a cat. You effectively got a dog. You've got one that happily plays tricks. Some can even be bathed. I mean, really, what cat usually likes to be bathed? It's like crazy. But back to what I'm saying about being a good family cat. One thing that I was adamant to my husband about was that any cat that we bought had to be great around babies. When we first got Pippin, our Maine Coon, I literally was kind of one of those paranoid mums. It had to be the right cat. It had to work in the family, and I couldn't take the risk that my little baby of like a year or so would get harmed in any way by this cat. And my husband researched all the cat market, and he said, look, this cat is the breed we need to have. And he's been right. I think my son is like, he's like almost 8, and I think he's never been scratched by the cat more than twice in his entire life. And we were there at the time. It was purely by complete accident. There was nothing aggressive from the cat. The cat is almost protective of the children. It's crazy. Particularly our daughter Amy, who's 5 years old. And I remember watching her as a little toddler walking around, trying to join in the family fun time of playing with the cat, taking the string, and the string she was pulling around on the floor. Pippin was jumping around, because obviously he was quite a bit younger then, and he literally paused and stopped, and he took a step back because the string had fallen on Amy's feet. Now she was just like tiny. He's just a tiny little kid. And we've seen this happen a few times, but Pippin was about to pounce. He really was. He was literally there to go, and he didn't. He went like this to pounce at the string and play with her, but he saw that the younger person in his pack order, because he's like a dog, he believes that there's a pack. He believed that the younger one, the pup, the kitten, whichever you want to call it, he believed that that kitten, pup, was in danger. So he actually sort of went from like that to literally stepping away from our daughter. And I watched that with total amazement. I mean, seriously, that little child didn't understand any risks of the cat, didn't know really how to treat a cat and how you gently stroke them, and she was rough and tumble with the cat, and they'd grown up together, and it was just fascinating to watch how the little kid was protected by Pippin, a cat. I have never ever seen that in another breed of animal, but I'm absolutely sure it does exist. It's just he was my first cat, and I just completely fallen in love with this breed. I mean, if you're thinking, well, you know, my kids are really loud, maybe the cat's gonna struggle. Like, cats aren't really known for liking noise, are they? Let's be fair, a lot of them just kind of step away from it. They run off into another room. Not the Maine Coon. You are gonna be completely surprised by the Maine Coon's behavior. My kids, like some of the loudest kids you can possibly ever find. They literally pop your mind with noise. It's non-stop, and our cat, he isn't at all concerned about it. It's truly amazing. I can see Pippin lying down on the rug, and the kids, literally lunatics around him, at the top of their voices, and they literally don't bother him. He is not fussed by the noise they make. He's not scared by the noise he makes. In fact, there's points when myself and my husband, we find the noise too loud. We go to the other room just to get a piece of sanity in our head and quietness. Not Pippin. He stays firmly in his spot on the rug where he likes to sit, or right next to them, and he just doesn't move. I've watched them in true fright where they've kind of run around and almost fallen on him. I mean, they're literally staggering and then feet slamming right next to him. And he's not moved. He's literally just stayed where he was, as if, like, no flinch. If it was a human, you would have gone like that, gone, oh, don't do that. But he doesn't. He's utterly insane. He is like one of the best family creatures and pets you could ever have. He's not fussed by the noise. He like treats them like a pack order. They are his humans, and he's never took like any attack or aggression or clawing to them. And I've watched them as toddlers. They've kind of roughly sort of tried to stroke his head, trying to learn how to stroke a cat. You know what it is. We're a little child trying to teach him gently stroke. Don't stroke the eyes, just try and stroke this bit. And he's never done anything at all that you could ever fault him for. He is like the most ideal cat breed you could ever purchase. And there's a fun thing about him. He is super playful. So the cat's like 7 years old, and he just wants to play. This breed is known for staying quite lively and energetic and playful for many years of their life. But you do expect there would be a point when he kind of doesn't want to do that anymore. But no, so far, he's still really, really playful. Yes, not like he was when he was a kitten. Wow, he was really like all over the shop. But now he still plays. He'll play with the kids. And one of Pippin's thing is he adores a cuddle. I think this is a Maine Coon thing. I've never experienced this game with another cat. Literally, you pick him up like some sort of giant beast. You have him in your arms. There is nothing a Maine Coon loves better than having a good old cuddle. And I imagine as the kids get bigger, he will happily be cuddled by them too. At the moment, obviously they're not strong enough. He's quite a heavy cat. I mean, he's like 2 stone odd. He's really, really heavy. So far too much for them little hands and arms to be able to carry and keep the cat safe. But what Pippin does to make sure that he gets cuddles from his mini human family is, if we're all sat around having like a ball game or something, or they're on the floor, if they're in his zone, what Pippin was absolutely obsessed about doing, he'll climb on you. So he'll walk up, and you know, we don't live in a tiny house where there's not much room to sit. There's a big floor space. He could choose any other bit of floor, any other bit of rug, but no, Pippin will choose the adult, or quite happily the children. If they're sat with their crossed legs, he will go over and climb on them. He practically is the same size as our child. It's utterly crazy. He literally demands the attention of his owners, and obviously the kids are part of that. He knows that they are his property. I mean, just watching him around Amy, our younger one, so the one he thinks is lower and has in the pack order potentially. I assume that's how he regards it. I mean, he's a cat, who knows? But she is younger than him. They have such an amazing bond. It's amazing watching them. She's not fussed. She has no fear. And I remember I always had fears of cats. When I first met my husband, no, cats, absolutely not. I liked stroking other people's cats, don't get me wrong. Loved it, not a problem. But I was so frightened of claws. I was so frightened of hurting the cat, or hurting me, like clawing me as I tried to move them off my lap. It always freaked me out. I didn't grow up with pets, so I naturally wasn't a person who was going to be accepting of having a cat and being just okay with it. If you introduce a Maine Coon to your children whilst they are young, they're going to be so okay with animals. I kind of wish I'd had that. I didn't have to spend years trying to learn then at that point to actually just be good with cats. But if you aren't used to cats like I wasn't, wow, Maine Coon, best cat breed you can ever buy. They're just so laid back, so fun, so loyal, and so caring. And they don't really take too much to look after. Yeah, you need to groom them. And yeah, they can be like higher maintenance like that. I mean, it depends on their coat, and they've got those like luscious fur, and you really just want to stroke it. It's long, it's beautiful, but it doesn't really molt. Just ignore those people who say that it really does. Because mine, barely. I see a few little balls of fluff rolling around the house, and yes, we groom him regularly, quite a few times a week, but it doesn't really molt. So you're not going to find your kids covered in cat hair. Now, as I said, back with the children, he just wants to be around them. Loud, screaming young children. I mean, most parents, adults, you know, that would test their patience. Not the Maine Coon. So he's loyal, he will climb on you, he loves them to cuddle him. He really does. He's so tolerant. And if you take a look at like one of my other videos just down here, there's a short video of my little princess, 5 years old, stroking away. And you can see she kind of tugs his head a little bit, trying to get him to continue licking her because she finds it hilarious. And you know, most cats will be bothered by being shoved a little bit around by a little 5-year-old. But it's like he knows. As I said, he grew up with her. She's only ever known having a cat in the house. And so he really does treat her as part of the packing order in our house. Now, he'll happily take food out of your hands, and he does eat some crazy things if you allow him. It's bizarre. He's like a dustbin. It's utterly crazy. But do be careful of the diet. Make sure that you get a high protein diet, particularly if they're younger and they're active. Now, what else can we say about the Maine Coon in the family? I just think that they are the best cat you could ever get. The kids can learn to have care and appreciation of an animal. As I said, I didn't have that as a kid, and I would love to go back now and have a pet. I mean, I always wanted a dog. I always thought I was a dog person. But this Maine Coon breed is just so easy, so low maintenance. And, you know, Then no cat is hypoallergenic. Ignore those people that say they are, unless you're going to be buying one of those like kind of freaky kind of cats that have no hair. Frankly, I find those quite scary. But you know, the Maine Coon isn't like that. It's bounds of hair, but it doesn't really like drop much. Some of them obviously will. It's going to be luck of the draw at this point. But you know, if they've got like a silkier texture on their coat, no, they're probably not going to drop as much fur as, say, one that has like a really super fluffy coat of fur on it. But the kids adore the cat. You can see as they get older. I mean, my oldest, who came along before Pippin, yeah, he was like a year old or so, but he's taken longer to adapt to it. He's also naturally not understood animals as well, but we now see him, like in the last few years, start to try to integrate and interact with the cat. Whereas Amy, the 5-year-old, she's like done it from birth because it's just been what she did. She's naturally just good with animals. Animals love her. As a toddler, I mean, geez, she clambered over the Maine Coon. I mean, and he just lay there. She would like crawl over him and then lie down, stick her head in like his belly. You'd expect a cat to start to get a little bit annoyed and run away. No, not the Maine Coon. As I said, it takes a lot to miff a Maine Coon off, really. They are tolerant. They seem to understand about children. They just love the family interaction. The more interaction they can get with their humans, who they really do deem to be their property, the better. One thing I was really surprised to see the other week. So Amy's got longer hair than me. I mean, it's down to here or something. But Pippin, our cat, loves to try and groom you. If you groom him or brush him in any way, it's like he feels compelled to actually try and groom you back. I guess this is part of the cat world. It's something completely new to me. But he literally goes up to Amy and the other week and he was like trying to lick into her hair. And you could see her long hair was getting caught in his tongue. He's like, ugh, can't quite, this hair's stuck to me. But he still had to try and groom her. So he opted for the safer bet of just licking her arm or trying to lick her face or a leg. She finds this really bizarrely funny. And if any of you have actually know much about a Maine Coon, you know the Maine Coon tongue isn't exactly smooth. When Pippin is licking like inner part of your wrist, it actually quite hurts. It's like take a bit of sandpaper and just, you know, exfoliate back and forth a little bit. Always make sure he like licks on this side of your arm because that seems to be a lot more tolerant. So Pippin will happily lick the kids and they're like, oh wow, ooh, he's licking me, mommy, he's licking me. I was like, yeah, he just likes it. Just don't worry, it's fine. But they seem to be able to play with him. As said, so we've got loyal, loves cuddles, doesn't really molt, so you know, really quite good around the children, especially because I'm not really a big fan of cat hair all over my home. And so it can quickly, it's like in clumps often, it can just be picked up and moved on. We've got, what do we also have about the fun factor of a cat? We have all of this. So if you are even at all considering, there'll be my husband going back, lawnmower in the garden, sorry about that guys. So if you're at all considering, should you get a cat? Or in particular, should you get a Maine Coon cat? The answer is definitively yes. This is the breed you just have to have. They are giants. They're utterly massive. They're actually not fat though, but they are prone to obesity, so just make sure you don't overfeed them. They are like really slow to grow, but wow, then when they grow, they're crazy. But that's basically it. If you've got any questions, just leave them in the comments below and I will happily tell you from my experience and my knowledge what I can. So if you want any more information, as said, subscribe to my channel, but also check out my blog, MaineCoonCentral.com. That's MaineCoonCentral, all one word, .com, where I'm regularly updating blog post after blog post, and I hope you love it. Okay guys, speak to you soon. Bye.